The story begins in Australia with a couple of tourists named Greg and Heather. They met at the hostel where they were staying. They came to Australia with a tour group, but decided to split off to try a shark cage diving experience on their own. They board a boat belonging to a company called Tucker Experience, which promises a thrilling encounter with sharks. When they arrive, the tourist spot is completely deserted except for an old man named Dave. He tells them that the Captain Tucker is on holiday and won't be taking them out. Just then, Tucker himself shows up, introducing himself as the boat's captain and the owner of the company. Even though he was on holiday, he agrees to take the couple out. After they board, Tucker heads the boat out to sea. Along the way, Tucker tells him his story. He survived a shark attack as a child and still has the scars to prove it. He even shows them an old newspaper article about the attack. He explains that ever since that day, he's had a strange obsession with sharks. Heather remarks that his job must be difficult, considering he has to work among the very creatures that once attacked him. Tucker says it wasn't the shark's fault, then pours blood into the water, which attracts numerous sharks to the boat. With the sharks circling, it's time to dive. Tucker locks Heather and Greg inside an iron cage and slowly lowers it into the water. Heather is frightened at first, grabbing Greg's hand, but she gradually calms down and begins to enjoy the thrilling moment. Seeing the sharks up close and realizing they aren't aggressive, they have a lot of fun. Laughing, they return to the boat. As they are thanking Tucker, he suddenly stabs Greg in the neck with a knife and shoves him back into the water. Heather screams, but in the middle of the ocean, there is no one to hear her. The scene then shifts to an American girl named Zephyr, who is at a shop near the Gold Coast after a surf session. There she meets a real estate agent named Moses, who is looking for a cable for his car because it won't start. Zephyr lives in a large camper van but refuses to help him, as she prefers to keep to herself. Later, in the parking lot, Zephyr is secretly eating ice cream she had hidden in her cup when Moses finds her again. He asks for help one more time, but she completely ignores him. Moses then subtly threatens to tell everyone in the shop that she stole the ice cream if she doesn't help. This makes Zephyr angry. Seeing the situation escalating, Moses quickly changes his tone. He explains he has walked several blocks in the hot sun and just needs a ride back to his car. Zephyr thinks for a moment and agrees. During the ride, they discover a shared interest in surfing and begin to develop feelings for each other. That night, they become intimate in her van, which is parked outside his house. Unknowingly, Moses tosses a fin key, a small tool for surfboards, out of the van. He has become serious about their connection. He tells her they must have met for a reason and should stay together. But Zephyr isn't one to settle down. She doesn't even go inside his house, even though he has fallen for her and is preparing food. By the time Moses returns with pancakes, she is gone, leaving him heartbroken. Zephyr goes to another beach to surf. After parking her van, she realizes she needs the fin key for her board, but it's missing because Moses had thrown it out. She starts searching for a spare in a nearby truck when she hears footsteps. When she turns around, she sees Tucker standing there, smiling at her. Without her asking, Tucker gives her a fin key, saying he has plenty. He also compliments her courage for surfing alone. Zephyr thanks him and begins to fix her surfboard. Just then, Moses sends her a photo of food with a message, asking if she'd like to go surfing with him. But before Zephyr can reply, Tucker knocks her unconscious from behind and abducts her. After a very long drive, he reaches his boat, puts Zephyr inside, and sails out into the open sea. By morning, Moses has also arrived at the beach, but Zephyr is nowhere to be found. He tries calling her, but her phone is just ringing inside her van. Tucker had cleverly thrown her surfboard out of the van, but left the phone to create the illusion that Zephyr went surfing and drowned. When Zephyr wakes up, she finds herself in a room below deck, tied to a bed. On the adjacent bed is Heather, who is also tied up and still alive. Zephyr panics and starts screaming, but in the middle of the ocean, no one can hear her. Heather explains that she has tried screaming many times, but out here, their voices don't carry. She tells Zephyr she has been trapped on the boat for a long time, which frightens Zephyr even more. Zephyr looks around for something to break the handcuffs, but there's nothing useful nearby. Suddenly, Zephyr's eyes fall upon a name carved into the wall. Seeing it, she goes numb for a moment, realizing another girl had been held captive here before someone who must have lost all hope and carved her name before accepting her fate. Meanwhile, Tucker is calmly fishing on the deck. Zephyr asks Heather if anyone will come looking for her. Heather replies that a boy was with her on this boat, but adds, "You don't want to know what happened to him." Zephyr understands what she means. Heather then asks Zephyr the same question. Hiding her sadness with a faint smile, Zephyr says that no one will miss her either. She doesn't know that Moses is still thinking about her. When Moses sees Zephyr's van being towed from the beach, he becomes suspicious, knowing that the van is her home and she never goes anywhere without it. This worries him, so he goes directly to the police station. However, the officer on duty doesn't take his concerns seriously, suggesting she's just a wandering surfer who has likely moved on. Frustrated, Moses decides to start looking for Zephyr himself. On the boat, Zephyr struggles to free herself all day. That night, she notices a thin wire inside Heather's bikini. Zephyr takes the wire and begins trying to pick the lock on her handcuffs. Just then, Tucker comes down with bread and water. The room is very hot, and both of them are parched. Heather quickly drinks the water, but the way she tries to cover herself makes Tucker suspicious. He is about to pull back her sheet when Zephyr creates a diversion by saying, "Give me my food." After Zephyr drinks her water, Tucker leaves, and she immediately goes back to working on the handcuffs. However, she starts to feel drowsy. Tucker had drugged the water. Before she can free herself, Tucker grabs her. When Zephyr awakens, she is tied to a chair on the deck. Heather is also there, restrained in a harness. A camera is set up to record everything for what Tucker calls his show. He begins a bizarre speech, praising sharks as the most powerful species on Earth and declaring that God isn't in the sky, but below, in the water where everything began and where everything will end. Tucker then cuts off a lock of Heather's hair and keeps it. He pours blood into the water, attracting a swarm of sharks. Then, he lowers Heather into the sea. The combination of her struggling and the blood incites the sharks. That's the end of part 1. Join us for the thrilling conclusion in part 2, available now on this channel.